What's going on, everybody? Welcome in the Vikings Now by Chat Sports. My name is Patrick Siepman, and coming up on today's show, it's a fun one. We're going to be going over every single Vikings free agent, and I will be making the decision on today's show. Should we keep them or should we let them walk in free agency? But before we dive into it, I was taking a look here at the analytics and our January sub battle versus Lions Talk here. We are just under 200 subscribers behind them. And with only a couple days left in January, if we could get the last push and somehow top Lions Talk in total subscribers this month, it would be awesome. So if you guys want to stay up to date around everything around your Minnesota Vikings, hit that subscribe button, and maybe we can beat Lions Talk in subscribers this month. All right, let's dive into it. First big name free agent for the Minnesota Vikings, and I think this is the biggest decision they have to make this offseason is what to do with Byron Murphy Jr. Now, he has had an up and down career with the Minnesota Vikings. You know, he was pretty poor his first year back in 2023, but I really thought this past season he came on strong and really was one of the better cornerbacks in the National Football League. But PFF, their contract projection for Byron Murphy comes out to about $17.5 million per year, and it's actually 3 years for $52 million, at $34.5 million of that being guaranteed money. But you know, if you take a look at what Byron Murphy did this past season for Minnesota, he was awesome, man. I mean, 6 total interceptions. I think 5 of those came in the fourth quarter. Now, yes, he gives up a lot of yards, mainly just because guys, you know, were targeting him a whole lot this season, but you know, really in the second half of the season, I think we saw him come on very, very strong. He's a playmaker at that cornerback position, and with where the Vikings cornerback, you know, room stands right now, I think you have to bring him back because really, besides, you know, Mekhi Blackmon, you don't have a guy on this roster who you feel comfortable with, you know, rolling out there. So I am cool with giving Byron Murphy the $17.5 million per year. $52 million over 3 seasons. I say the Vikings bring him back. But another big decision here is going to be with the safety, the dance coordinator for the Minnesota Vikings, Cam Bynum. Now, I am a massive fan of Cam Bynum and his game. You know, he is truly a very versatile player in this Brian Flores defense, and he brings a ton of swagger to that side of the field. But PFF, their contract projection for Cam Bynum is a doozy. It's 3 years, $42.75 million, and $28.25 of that being guaranteed money. Now, Cam Bynum is a good football player, but do I want to allocate all those funds that we have in free agency to a safety? I'll give you guys that answer here in a second. But in terms of Cam Bynum, what he did this past season, I think it was pretty good in coverage. No doubt about that. I mean, only giving up 300 yards, 1 touchdown. You know, it had 10 PBUs, 3 interceptions. He's definitely a playmaker in the secondary for Minnesota. But where are his shortcomings coming? You know, he's not too good in the run. I mean, I have still visions of Jahmyr Gibbs absolutely dicing up Cam Bynum in the open field in both Lions games this season. He's not the best guy in terms of run fit. And, you know, that's why it gets me to my decision here. I say you got to let him walk, and this stinks. I would love to bring Cam Bynum back, but at that amount of money per year, I think they could allocate their funds elsewhere. You know, you got some good defensive linemen out there. You got obviously great offensive linemen in free agency, Trey Smith, Drew Dahlman, but you also got some other guys like a Zeitler or a Scherf, you know, over there in Jacksonville where you have, you know, good options just to kind of plug and play at that offensive guard spot. And if you want to allocate that much money to that side of to a safety that's just far away from the football, I just don't think that would be the right decision. Now, I know what you guys might be saying. All right, well, if Harrison Smith retires and we let Cam Bynum walk, who's going to be the next man up next to Josh Metellus? Well, how about a little Theo Jackson? Now, the Vikings coaching staff, very high on Theo, and I'm very high on Theo as well. And then that one spot start this past season against the Seattle Seahawks, he had the game-sealing interception. He had a 91 overall PFF grade. I think my bold prediction here for the Vikings offseason, Theo Jackson ends up starting at safety this upcoming season. They love him. He's got a lot of talent. And I just think, like, do you really want to give Cam Bynum all that money when you have a guy like Theo Jackson who can step in and just, you know, be a very solid safety for the Minnesota Vikings? But I know this is going to be a polarizing topic, but I want you to get your guys' thoughts in on this. Would you bring back Cam Bynum? Give me a Y for yes or give me an N for no. You guys let me know your thoughts down below in the comments section. Let me know your thoughts on bringing back Cam Bynum. All right, let's keep it in the secondary here with the veteran Stefan Gilmore. So Stefan Gilmore was signed with the Vikings right before the start of the regular season, and he was pretty solid. I felt like when Gilmore went against great wide receivers, he ended up getting cooked. But when he did go against good to mid wide receivers, he was pretty solid. And PFF has him signing damn near the same contract he signed with the Minnesota Vikings. Just a 1 year, $6 million deal. And with a lot of question marks at that cornerback position, if you do let a guy like Byron Murphy walk, but I do think they'll bring him back. But with only Mekhi Blackman there, the question comes, is it worth it to bring back a guy like Gilmore? And, my answer to this was, we'll see you in August, Mr. Gilmore. I don't think this is a situation where the Vikings, first couple of days of free agency, it's like, all right, we got to lock up Gilmore. This could be something where you let free agency play out, you let the NFL draft play out, see where you can make a couple moves on the margins, and then if you do need a corner when August rolls around, just give Gilmore a call. I'm sure he would love to come back and play with Brian Flores and this Vikings defense. So kind of not a definite yes or a definite no. I'm just going to say, hey, let's wait till August, and then we'll see where the Vikings cornerback position is. But another corner that's at the hit free agency, Shaq Griffin. Now, a very up and down year for Shaq Griffin with the Minnesota Vikings. And, I'm a fan of his game. He plays with a lot of swagger, plays with a lot of intensity at that cornerback position. But I think it's very similar to how I would treat Stefan Gilmore here. We'll just see you in August. This is not something where the Vikings need to bring out, all the cash and, we have to lock down Shaq Griffin. I think you could just call him in August if you need another corner, and I'm pretty certain he'll be more than willing to come back and play for the Vikes. But another veteran corner, quickly here, Fabian Moreau. I just don't think it's worth bringing him back at this point. He was just a spot starter for the Vikings this past season, so I think you got to let him walk. But out of the 5 guys you see right here, you got to bring back Byron Murphy. I think you should let Cam Bynum walk, and then maybe Stefan Gilmore in August. Same with Shaq Griffin, but then Fabian Moreau. You just got to let those guys walk. Now, we'll get to 10 more names here in a second in terms of some Vikings free agents. But first off, I got to give a massive shout-out to today's presenting sponsor, and that is PrizePicks. Now, if you guys download the PrizePicks app today and plug in that promo code CLNS, you guys will get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Download the app today. Use promo code CLNS. Get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Now, what is PrizePicks? It's the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, PrizePicks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash. Run your game all season long on PrizePicks. Now, PrizePicks is also offering a sweet deal for the big game 2 Sundays from now, where just one Patrick Mahomes passing yard will actually get you 1 win on PrizePicks that weekend. So take advantage of this. It's their projection discount, a big game free pick for you guys, where just 1 passing yard from Patrick Mahomes will get you a win on PrizePicks. So download the app today, plug in that promo code CLNS, get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Download the app today, plug in promo code CLNS, get $50 instantly. But massive shout out to PrizePicks for sponsoring today's show. PrizePicks, run your game. All right, we had to talk about the quarterback on today's show, Sam Darnold, and I'm going to keep this, quick here. I just think you got to let him walk. And, still, the contract projection for Sam Darnold is absolutely massive for this offseason. And I just don't think it's worth it with where the Vikings are at, moving into free agency to bring him back. And PFF, they got their contract projection still set at 3 years, $123 million with $70 million in guaranteed money. I just don't think that's worth it for Sam Darnold. Listen, he was great this past season for the Vikings, no doubt about it, but there are just way too many holes on this roster, and just, for the sake of this experiment on deciding who's coming and who's coming back, honestly, if you decided to bring Darnold back, that will limit a ton of your spending in free agency, where if you do decide, hey, Darnold, Byron Murphy, we're bringing both of you guys back, you really can't go out there and get any big-name free agent like a Trey Smith, like a Drew Dahlman. So Sam Darnold, we're just going to let you walk on this one. But another guy on offense here, Aaron Jones. Now, I've had some mixed thoughts on Aaron Jones and bringing him back because – he did have a good season with the Vikings. There is no doubt about it. But is he an elite running back at this point in his career? Probably not. But PFF, their contract projection for him, 2 years, $14 million. If that's the deal and only $8 million guaranteed, easy out after the first year, I think I'm doing it. But still, if you bring back Aaron Jones, that cannot be your only move at the running back position. You still got to go draft one. And listen, if you do bring Aaron Jones back, you could look at a guy like, Hampton in the 3rd round or any of these, stud running backs in this year's class. So I would love to have a 1-2 punch of Aaron Jones, bring in a young guy, the vet rookie combo. That's how I would do it. So Aaron Jones right now, I say you bring him back. But let's kick it to the offensive tackle here, who the Vikings traded for after the Christian Darrisaw injury on that Thursday night football game versus the Los Angeles Rams. Cam Robinson. Cam Robinson was up and down with the Vikes when he got traded there. He started off really strong. Pretty sure he allowed like 0 pressures in the first 3 games he was starting. But then we saw against the Lions and the Rams, he was just giving up pressures left and right. And, PFF has him signed in a 3-year, $56.25 million deal with, pretty much all of that guaranteed. I don't think that's a right call for the Vikes. I also saw floated out there, you could move him to guard. I'm not willing to take that risk at the guard position, considering you would have to give him a lot of money. So, financially, I think it makes sense for the Vikings just to let Cam Robinson walk in free agency. But number 4, we're going to go with Patrick Jones II here, defensive end for the Minnesota Vikings. I think this is an easy one. I think you just got to let him walk. He'll probably get around $7 million in free agency. But, again, Patrick Jones, the sack total number on this season was great. He had 7 sacks. I think, honestly, 5 of those came in the first 3 games of the season, but his pressure rate is extremely low, one of the lowest out of any edge in the National Football League. And I felt like his sacks on the season, most of them were just manufactured, whereas Flores creating an open opportunity, whether it was a twist concept or just some exotic blitz where he just pretty much came in free. So Patrick Jones, let him walk in free agency. Now, Jerry Tillery, defensive tackle, former first-round pick of the Las Vegas Raiders. He was good in spots for the Vikes this past season, and if it's on maybe a 1-year, $3 million deal, I'd probably say you do it. But, then again, I don't think this is something where it's like, the Vikings need to bring back Jerry Tillery. Again, this would just be a rotational guy if you just want to fill out the depth on your defensive line. But I do think the Vikings could potentially target some defensive linemen hard in free agency, and we'll have a video coming out later this week talking about that. But Jerry Tillery, no real definite answer, maybe. But, not for sure a yes or no. But Jihad Ward, hottie, edge rusher. I'm going to say you got to bring him back. And the main reason for this is just the energy he brings, man. In the locker room, on the football field, this guy, after every big play, he's hyping up his teammates. He's getting excited, and he's got a contagious energy to him. And I think he's a good fit with what Brian Flores likes to do. So, Jihad Ward, I say you bring him back. 1-year, $3 million deal. It could be very similar to what he signed this past season. But let's kick it back to the offensive line here. Dalton Risner started at right guard for the Vikings for a majority of the season. Very up and down play. Really struggles in the run blocking department. He is pretty solid in the pass blocking department. But I think the Vikings just need to swing bigger here at the offensive guard spot. And I'm not necessarily saying we need to go get Trey Smith now. There are other options like a Zeitler or a Scherf, playing for the Jaguars. But Dalton Risner, if it's for a backup position, like a 1-year, $2-3 million contract, just to have him be a rotational interior offensive lineman, I say you do it. But if it's anything more than that, you just got to let him walk. And now another quarterback for the Vikes, Daniel Jones here. I think you should bring him back, especially if you are going to let Sam Darnold walk. Just have Daniel Jones. Maybe you bring him back on that Sam Darnold deal where it was like the 1-year, $10 million contract. Just have him be the backup quarterback. Have him be a solid bridge guy for JJ. Because even if, let's just say, we get some bad news on JJ, and it's like, he can't start till week 3. Okay, you roll out Daniel Jones for the first 2 weeks. I don't think that's a bad decision. But, again, if another team offers him like a multi-year deal, by no means am I saying the Vikings need to go match that to bring him back. But I think DJ wants to be here, and I could see it being a fairly simple $1 for $7 million deal. But another rotational defensive lineman here, Jonathan Bullard. Kind of the same way. I'm talking about Jerry Tillery, Jihad Ward. If you want to bring him back as a rotational guy, do so 100%. But, then again, it's not like the Vikings should open up the checkbook here and bring back Jonathan Bullard, up and down season, just not really that impactful at that defensive line. So I'm going to probably say no on Bullard. And then also running back Cam Akers here. I'm going to actually say, yeah, you should bring him back. And the biggest reason for that is for the Vikings won't have to trade for him for a third season in a row. Even though I will say it would be pretty funny if the Vikings 3 years in a row at the NFL trade deadline, they trade for Cam Akers. But I think you bring him back, have him be your second or third running back. But if you do decide to let Aaron Jones walk, then you have to bring back Cam Akers, have Akers and a young running back. But if you bring back Aaron Jones, I'm fine with letting Cam Akers walk, and then you just go draft the running back. But what I don't want to happen is both of those guys back, and then we don't draft the running back. I just don't think that would be the right decision for the Minnesota Vikings. But, hey, if you guys made it to the end of today's show, just give me a skull down below in the comment section. We'll use this as a real one roll call. Just went through all the big-name free agents for the Minnesota Vikings. Really, though, in the end, Byron Murphy, that's the only must bring back in my opinion, but we'll see how Kwesi ends up playing this whole thing this offseason. And also I'm on Twitter at @PatSieps is a Twitter handle. Give me a follow over there and I'll give you guys a follow right back. But thanks so much for watching today's show. See you guys next time. Let's go Vikes.